Let's get live. When was the moment you fell in love with fashion enough to take it seriously?
That's a good question. I need that to be organized and done in the way that works for me.
Yeah, so you can just flow.
Yeah, get in that flow state.
Yeah.
Just go, yeah.
Love it.
Keep it trucking.
Keep it trying, yeah.
Life's gonna life. Doors are gonna close. People are gonna leave. Relationships are gonna end. As long as you just keep it trucking, you only fail if you give up.
It's all necessary.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on to work and lifestyle. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on live. Let's get live. When was the moment you fell in love with fashion enough to take it seriously?
That's a good question. I think. Okay, so I took a little different path in my life, and there was a period of time where I was really into reselling, right? So I would get the new Jordans, I'd get the Supreme, I'd get the Bape, and I would resell it. And this was actually when I was living in Iowa,
Gotcha.
where there's very little community for this. But there were local Facebook groups that were building that community, and other locals in Iowa or the Midwest that, like early SneakerCon convention days and stuff like that, right? So I was working with two guys, Alan and Justin, and they were, I was 14, 15, 16 at the time, and they were running half of it was a smoke shop, and the other half of it was a sneaker and Supreme sort of shop.
That's a good duo.
Yeah. So I would go in there and check out the Supreme sort of stuff, and I would always just talk with them and start conversation with them, and I was getting my own little collection going of my own sort of stuff, and I eventually would start bringing it in to consign. And actually, to be fully honest, before I started even bringing in my own stuff, I had I was known locally, right? People knew me as the magic guy. People knew me as this guy with weird health problems, right? Like all this sort of stuff. But people in my local school, people in my neighborhood, people in my general area, they knew me. And so I would, I'd go to this shop and I'd be like, okay, how much for this? 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 Okay, I'll add $50 to this. Add $50 to this. And now I'm like promoting it across my social media platforms and to people that I knew that were also into the space, like saying, hey, I got these shoes for $250. They might sell it to me for $200, but I'll sell it to you for $250, and I'll go make $50.
Yeah.
Right. So I was middlemaning their product at first, and then I did that a little bit and started making my own money doing it, and then I was building out my own collection. And they ended up actually taking it to the next level and started a local store called Illust Around, and we got it into a mall and stuff like that. And I'd work the desk. I would get tons of the product and consign a bunch of the product and all this sort of stuff.
Sorry, what just came to my mind? Have you ever done a 9 to 5?
I've worked retail jobs. I've worked at the local mall.
Because it just sounds like from as soon as you could work, it was just entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been ever since the magic kick, right? Since 12 years old, I've been on an entrepreneurial path and a little creative outlet path. Growing up, I was YouTube educated.
Got it.
Right. I dropped out of high school. I actually do have an associate's degree though, which is a little weird. I ended up getting my GED. Actually, I have a high set is what it's called. It's GED equivalent, and it was partnered with a local community college that I ended up rounding myself into, and I got I got an AA in liberal arts.
Right.
Yeah, not what am I gonna do with that, right? But it gave me community, it gave me people and peers to be around and all that sort of stuff. And I struggled in high school a lot with my health, mental health, physical health, dependency stuff. And so the path that I took was a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm sorry.
No
what was
worries.
it again?
What was the moment that you fell in love with fashion to take it seriously?
Yeah, so it was. I made the first T-shirt, and it was a yin and yang T-shirt that was like melting on the back of the shirt, and I had like this Japanese-y styled font that said "human" on the front. And the name "human" is all about the brand. "Human" is all about equality, and it's all about we are all human, right? All of us are on the same earth. We all breathe the same air. You cut us open, and we're all going to bleed red, right? Like we are all human. We're all the same. But the M inside of human has always been red. And the reason why the M is red is because the M has a double meaning. It stands for myself, right? And it's red because it's the only different color in human that signifies myself, my individuality. It's different, right? And so I made this yin yang T-shirt, and I went to, I think it actually was like a sneaker con back in like 2014, 2015 in Iowa, which is just really weird. Like that shouldn't happen, but it did. And I set up a booth, and I was selling my clothes. I was selling like the Supreme and the shoes and Jordans and Adidas and all that stuff that I had. But then I also set up a clothing rack behind me that had my human stuff. And I remember I actually only sold one T-shirt that day, and I thought I was going there and I was going to sell out. Right? I thought like this is going to be it. This is where I'm going to get
the goals thing.
Yeah. And I sold one T-shirt, and it was to Alan, the guy that was opening that Illust Around store and stuff like that. He was the only one that bought a T-shirt, and so at first I felt a little discouraged, but everybody that was kind of coming up to the booth was also asking me, what is that stuff? What is that stuff? And I realize now I was just in the wrong demographic market for it, right? I'm in a market that everybody's looking for Jordans and Supreme, and I'm selling a $25 T-shirt behind the booth, right? Completely wrong market. At the time, I was like, why, what's going on? Why ain't anybody buying it? But, I actually think around that time is really when I fell in love with it. And it was just it allowed me to hustle. It allowed me to, if I'm selling you a pair of Jordans, I'm also going to pitch you this $25 T-shirt that I'm selling. That's my T-shirt.
Scale it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, would you like fries with that? Right? I got this shirt here.
Yeah.
And so around that whole entire time, that's when I fell in love with fashion. And Iowa doesn't have a real scene for it. So like, I'm boots on the ground, just building this turf, building this whole thing where it's like I'm putting together a photographer from here, and I'm saying, oh, do you want to be a model for me, right? And like we're going to abandoned farmhouses or warehouses like around town, and
a lot of work,
just doing our own shoots, right? This thing wasn't happening in Iowa at that point in time, so it was really feeling like I was like I was laying the foundation. I was setting the ground.
That is key. You're laying the foundation, and it pivots to my next question.
Yeah.
How human was then versus now? Like, what would you say the differences are with like a little bit of the beginning days versus, and now we just blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It's beginning days were way simpler. It was way smaller scale. It was way, I knew nothing about fashion and the business of fashion. And I was just ignorant to to everything, right? I just thought it was unique, and I'm doing something cool. Nobody else in town's doing this right now, right? Like I just, and nowadays, let's be honest, fashion's a little bit of a saturated market and stuff like that, right? There's lots of it going on. And so now it's looking at it from a different angle where, as also running and owning Limitless, I know my fashion acumen is massive, right? We've got over 60 global fashion partner, like production facilities, like the whole nine. So I'm able to really do more unique stuff with actually developing clothing. And nowadays I don't actually release human on like a boom, like a really steady basis like I used to back in the day. Nowadays I kind of look for it in the most recent release that I did, I actually did it with a designer named BB Simon.
Okay.
He's got a flagship store down on Melrose. He in the early 2000s, he was doing a lot of the direct styling for like Michael Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, and then in the mid 2010s, he was doing a lot of stuff with like the Migos and stuff like that. He does like big Swarovski stoned blingy belts and all this stuff. And so nowadays when I'm really pushing a lot of the human stuff, I'm looking for those more opportunistic sort of lanes and ventures to do it with, right? Like right now, my dream, my goal is to do another collaboration, but to do it with like Evisu, or to do it with Robin Jeans, or to even like an Ed Hardy, right? Like some of these more that were once the biggest thriving brands and stuff like that have kind of maybe fallen off a little bit, or not kept up with the Instagrammy, TikTok-y fashion world, right? Like being able to come in and work with brands and do collaborations that are on that level and of that scale, and using their resources and facilities and stuff like that to really put these things to products. And that's really where I'm in the lane with human right now. That's so it's back in the day, I used to just design something,
put it out.
Design something, put it out. And that was great. That was great at the time, right? But nowadays it's
strategy.
Yeah, a little more
strategy, intention, and I do hear patience in that. There it
is.
All right, so my name is Tifani Sage. I'm a confidence and clarity life coach. If you're feeling unfulfilled in your life, or you don't know what's next for you, I'm your girl. I can take you to new levels of clarity. Click the link in my bio for a complimentary call with me, so we can get your life on track. Click the link so we can connect.
Let's see. Being a student of the game, and what I researched, learning under Amy Bond, the craft and the business of design, were there any surprising lessons where it's like, that completely blew my mind. I had no idea that you actually have to do this. And
yes, actually. And it's kind of, so I came out here over a summer, and Amy Bond is a phenomenal fashion designer. She's like the executive producer for all these big fashion shows and stuff like that. And she was, I don't know if she still is to this day, so I don't want to say anything wrong, but at that time, there's a arts and fashion school out here called Otis, OTIS. And she was the head of the fashion program there. And they had a summer thing where I had an opportunity to get out here for a summer and stay at like an Otis dorm room and train directly under Amy Bond. And it was very fundamental and foundational and like, regular fashion school. And I was one of the only people that was there that was not properly fashion trained, right? If you asked me to make a pattern, I'd say how. Right? And where everybody else would grab their tape measures, grab their pens, grab their pattern paper, and start going. I would say how, right? Amy saw that I also had a knack for stuff. And full transparency, one of the main reasons why I was coming out there to do the program was to see, I was trying to get into Otis, I was trying to get into FITM, right? I was trying to do that, the actual kind of posh fashion world scene, right? And like, but I was very, my creativity and just like my drive and tenacity to get stuff done was there, but my fashion knowledge and acumen was nothing, right? All I knew was kind of how to make a t-shirt, like how ink gets put onto a t-shirt and I can sell it, right? That's what I knew. Everybody else there was super technical, super hands-on. They were, drawing croquis that are all whimsical and have all this, crazy stuff, and then they're turning that to patterns and turning that to garments. And I remember actually making I still have it at this giant coat cloak thing, and
I think I remember, was it like the furry one or like
and so like the final for the summer program was you used everything and you built you sew it all together, you make it from scratch, and then you do your own photo shoot with it, and then you present it and all this sort of stuff. And I at that point I still didn't know how to make a pattern. I still didn't know how to draw croquis. my sewing lines weren't straight. I had never used an industrial sewing machine before, right? Like all the odds were kind of against me. Like I was expected to be bottom of the barrel type of guy, right? And you know, I really just got very hands-on with everything, and I was just like, yeah, this is a struggle. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure this out. I would try to be the first person to the sewing machines. I'd try to be, and I'm the last person to leave the sewing machines, right? And actually, I couldn't thank Amy Bond enough, because throughout that process, she began kind of giving me a lot of words of advice where it's like, Miller, like, you are a little bit different than the run of the mill that's here, right? Look, and she was running the Otis fashion program at this point, and she looked at me and she said, you just need to move out here, but I don't think you need to go to Otis. I don't think you need to go to Fit'em. I think you'll figure this out. You know, and so...
How did you take that?
I took it like a champ. I was like, wait, what? You say I don't need to be... you know, it's like your school. Like, what do you mean you don't want my you don't want my money? Right? Like, oh wait, okay, all right. You know, and so it was different, and it was just being hands-on and willing to learn, and being ignorant to what I was ignorant to, and not knowing.
Sometimes it helps.
It helps, yeah. You know, not knowing what I don't know, and you know, making that coat, I didn't use a pattern.
Wow.
Making that coat, I just looked at fabric, I cut fabric, and I just sewed.
Yeah.
I had it up here. I didn't know how to draw it out.
Yeah.
You asked me to draw a straight line, that's not going to look straight. I can't draw well. I don't. At that time, I didn't understand pattern making and all this sort of stuff. Nowadays, it's a lot different, right?
Yeah.
But it's because I'm doing it for others, right? But when I'm doing it for myself, it's still very much the same way, where I'll look at fabric, I'll drape the fabric, I'll cut it, I'll begin sewing it, right? And before I know it, boom, I got the piece, right? And so, that was something that really stuck with me, and I'm extremely thankful and grateful for Amy.
I love that.
You know, she gave me the trust in myself and the faith in myself.
That's what it was.
Like, you know, you can do this, Miller.
Like, not totally abandon, but don't fixate on formal education of the craft.
Yeah.
It's, you have it in you, and you just have a different way of going about it to bring it to fruition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say this: everybody else, like my family, is they're all. Well, I guess my oldest brother is back in school now, but like I got one brother that was like super formally educated, has all these degrees and all this stuff, right? My dad went to school, my mom went to school. I have a bunch of cousins that also went to school, college education and stuff like that. I got some that didn't too, but most of the people in my life, and most of the people in Iowa, right, they all go to the state school, and they all go join the fraternity, or you know, that's their, you know, that's the regular path. And I think that path works phenomenal and works great for you know, a lot of people. But on my end, it just wasn't there.
That part. And don't try to force it.
Don't try to force it, because I was trying to force it. I was trying to go out there to go to Otis and try to impress the head of the fashion, so that way maybe I'm a high school dropout that kind of has like a local community college associate's degree. Will you let me in here? You know, no formal fashion education. And she's like, no.
Wow.
You know, take your own path.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hard boss lessons. But before you answer, Fly, are we good here? Okay. Hard boss lessons. What would you say are a couple that you learned on the job? I feel one that you mentioned earlier was not forcing your ways, you know, your routine on your partners. Yeah. Are there any others?
Yeah. You know, there is a world where the client is always right. And I say that hesitantly, because it is true, but sometimes you also need to figure out the right balance, where you need to use your expert opinion to be able to show and prove throughout time, and you know, it's never something where you say no, you're wrong, and then this side, this should be done. You say, all right, you're correct. Let's try it this way, right? And slowly begin to unravel and disclose to them, okay, well, because we did it this way, it didn't allow us to do this. Because we did it this way, we weren't able to take this path. Because we did it this way, we weren't able to do this.
I love that.
Right? As opposed to just saying, no, you're wrong, we should do it like this, and here's why.
This sounds like a little bit of mind effing, and also from the Power book from, I want to say Robert Greene.
48 Laws of Power?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great book.
That it's just kind of like you have to show instead of tell sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
And that's so key.
Yes. We've I've got yeah. You have to show instead of tell.
Yeah. What were some lifestyle changes or adapting to, like, morphing into like Boss Miller?
Yeah. I've always kind of had a little bit of this energy to me, right? I've always known I've wanted more. I've always been on that entrepreneurial path, but you know, the one of the big changes in my life was actually basically looking at my chronic illness and stuff like that, and basically flipping it the bird and saying, no, get out of here. Like, yeah, you're still going to be there, but I can't let it hold me back anymore. I can't let it take my life, drain me from my life, like anything like that, right? I have to be able to push through, live on, and just keep going, keep trucking. Another thing that I would say that I learned would be, it's helped me develop a lot of patience, right? I've been bossed by not some of the greatest people before, and I've learned a lot from that, and I've learned how to properly treat people. If I go get an intern, I know how to properly intern them, right? As opposed to improperly, or you know, if I'm working on training somebody or building somebody up, I know how to go about that in the correct way, as opposed to if there's a mess up, F that, or, you know, get out of here. No, like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all learn. We right? Sure, everybody might do it in a different manner or a different lane or whatnot, but understanding that path of that person and all that sort of stuff, and how they learn best and how they work best, and being able to empower that, put them in that position, so that way they can learn the right way, they can do the right things, they can work in the best manners,
and not learn under stress.
Not learn under stress. Yeah. 'Cause when you learn under stress, you're just gonna, another mess up's gonna happen, and then you're gonna feel, oh my gosh,
and inadequate. Like, I feel like second guessing yourself now, and you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, those are a lot of things that I've kind of learned in I guess the boss mode.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Moving on to essence, what would you say you love most about yourself?
I don't know. I love myself. I don't always give myself the time of day to look into myself and to, you know. But one thing that I love a lot about myself, I think, is either my energy or also the fact that I am pretty in tune with my emotion. I understand I understand the circumstances I put myself in. I understand what taking the path less traveled is, and you know, when taking that, originally when I was taking that path less traveled, everybody was like, what the heck are you doing, man? Like this isn't gonna work, right? And the determination and the will to just maybe it was to prove them wrong. Yeah. Even though that might be the wrong thing
starting
to be doing,
point, but it got you started in.
But it's like, okay, hater, I'll show you what's up, right?
Yeah.
Like, one thing I love about myself is my energy, my drive, and being in tune with myself and understanding why I'm doing something, whether it be for the right reason or not, right? And even if it's not for the right reason, I'm still understanding it, and I'm still able to internalize it and like make the conscious decisions that I'm making, and know why I'm making them and all of that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. I think
Love
those are
that.
it.
What would you say has been the most rewarding experience thus far?
The journey.
Mm.
The journey.
And you know what's funny?
What?
Someone in the thick of it right now, I mean, we're always journeying,
Yeah.
but someone in the thick of things or at the start of it is like, yeah, whatever. But it is true because once you reach that temporary goal post, it's like, oh, it wasn't what I
thought it was. And now that goalpost is 10 yards
Yeah.
away again,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
the journey, and we're still on our journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that goalpost is always going to be moving,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't. I'm somebody that finds it pretty hard to settle. I think, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs
too.
are kind of
Yeah.
probably in the same lane, right? I think the journey. Enjoy it for what it is. Take it day by day and just keep journeying.
Yeah.
You know.
Was there ever a dark time in your life where you really you didn't think you were going to get out?
Yeah.
What was that? That was in Iowa or LA?
I've had them in both.
Okay.
Iowa, for example, before I moved out here, I actually moved out here with a shattered leg from my knee down to my ankle. I got into an accident. I was planning on doing this last pop-up, and I was looking at my money and accounting and everything. I was like, I think if I do this last pop-up and I can sell this much, then I can actually make my way out there. But like a month before I started promoting the pop-up and all that stuff, a month before that pop-up, I get into this horrible accident and I get a spiral fracture from my knee down to my ankle. The whole bone basically exploded inside my leg, and there's tons of complications with the surgery. There's tons of issues. I'm in the hospital for like 3-4 weeks. I get out, do like a week of PT, and then I go do this pop-up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I still got to do the pop-up, you know? So I do the pop-up, and, I make the money, and I'm like, okay, it's there, but like, how the hell do I still get out there, right? I got the shattered leg, I'm in crutches and a boot, like all this stuff. And, I mean, honestly, I was in Iowa, I was bedridden, still doing like some PT sort of stuff for like 3 weeks. And one day my brother was home from college, and I kind of looked at him and I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I'm gonna I have a burning desire that I got to get out of here, and I know the longer I'm here, it's gonna just eat away at me, and then eventually I'm gonna hit a point where I don't make it. Right, I just decide to stay here and hang out with everybody else and just do the regular thing. I gotta go. So he helped me pack my car, and we drove out here.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like I was going through it with you when you said it a while ago. Last question, in essence, what does success mean to you?
Yeah. It's not like success is not a monetary thing. Success is not a financial thing. It's not a number thing or anything like that. I think to me, success is being able to wake up, do what I love, and fall asleep doing what I love, and being able to live my own life on my terms. Right? Success to everybody might mean something a little bit different, but I think if you're able to live your own life, how you want to live your own life, that's a success.
That part. That part.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the last segment. Man, I feel like it's been going so quick, but it's just like, no. What's the perfect day for you?
Perfect day.
Yeah.
All right. If I had the perfect day,
curate it.
Wake up bright and early. Sun is still rising as I'm waking up. Get to see the sunshine. Sip my coffee. Right. Get out to a mountain. Go for a little nature walk or a little run, whatever it might be out in the mountain. On my way back in from the mountains, get a phone call. That's some big entertainer, some big musician or something that's like, hey man, I got this project going on, or hey, I need your help here, right? And then land it, come back home, maybe see the guys, hang out with the guys, good to tell them about the phone call I just had, right? Put the pieces in place to make sure that those dominoes can fall correctly to get that done, and probably go out to a cool little restaurant, cool little dinner, kind of do a little celebration of closing that deal. Maybe and maybe catch the sunset by the beach, listen to the ocean come through, the waves.
This is so good.
And, probably come home, light a candle, turn on a Netflix show, and get crazy good sleep.
Yeah.
And wake up and hope I can do it again.
Yeah. I love it. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Guilty pleasure snack.
Oh. All right. I just had them for the first time today, actually. And they're so good. So, Jolly Ranchers, growing up, I was used to it being the hard candy.
Yeah.
They now have these Jolly Ranchers.
Soft ones?
They're like soft, gummy chewies, and they're sour. I love sour candy, and I love little gummy candies and stuff like that. Those, hands down, basically down the whole entire share size back today, and I know I shouldn't, but whatever. Those are phenomenal. I also really like the Twizzlers they're like filled.
I like those.
Yeah!
Is it like the Starburst kind of ones they have?
Yes.
Yes.
I really like that stuff. And then this could sound weird, but I really like Boston cream donuts.
Boston cream. I don't think I know those. I know Krispy Kreme.
Boston cream. It's a type of donut. It's just like it's a cream filled donut, and you take a bite out of it, and like
is it like the lemon thing out that comes out?
I'll take the lemon ones. But
it's anything that's
there's
filled.
also like vanilla ones. There's caramel ones.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I'm a sucker for them.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for them. Yeah.
What are you OCD about?
My room. Like I was
where
saying,
things
like,
are placed.
Yeah, where things are placed, and it's not necessarily like the clean it, or it's clean, but like it's not necessarily the most organized, right?
Gotcha.
But like my wallet and my keys and that goes in this spot, and my phone, it's either over here or it's over there. My laptop is always in the same spot.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty OCD with that, and then I'm also when we inside of Limitless, our company, we do a lot of like tour logistics and management stuff, and a lot of times like we'll have to get a big sprinter van or a box truck or something, and we'll be organizing the truck. Like the business stuff needs to be organized. Up here, right? We've got the where all the blanks are. That section is all labeled. I need to make sure that they're all in the same spot, right? Like when I have somebody come in here and stuff like that, I know
where to pull from.
I know where to pull from. I know kind of that routine that I go through, right? Like I need those things in place to be able to help me do the best job that I can.
I like that.
And I work a lot in my room. I got like a little office in the corner of my room section. It's like I need that to be organized and done in the way that works for me.
Yeah, so you can just flow.
Yeah, get in that flow so you can just go. Yeah, flow.
If $10 million was deposited in your bank account, how would your tomorrow look different?
Well, are we talking personal bank account or are we talking like business bank account?
That's a good question. Let's do both.
So if it's
$20 million. Let's blather this thing.
If it's personal side,
okay,
take 1 to 2 million, throw it into stock market, and try to live off of $200K a year. Get a 10% return on it. Try to live off $200K a year. You can live a beautiful life off $200K a year. Damn it! Yeah. Like that's And then if it's business side of things, probably invest in like warehouse real estate space and invest in like building out the team where we get a full content creation crew to like hang out in the shops all day long and stuff like that. We begin owning all of the warehouse spaces where all the machines and stuff are. Like that real estate becomes ours, because then like throughout time that real estate can occur a lot of value, whereas like machinery loses value through the use of it and stuff like that, right? Like but the warehouse space, if you buy it for $1 million this year, and 10 years from now it's gonna be worth more than $1 million probably, right? Like that's I
love the way your mind works.
I don't think I'd like do anything like I might go get a nice watch, but I'm very frugal, to be honest. Like I have the things I have are nice things, but I don't buy a lot of things.
Got
right?
it.
Like I'll I'll have nice shoes, I'll have nice clothes, but I wear pretty much the same.
Gotcha.
This is my
your
this is
uniform.
a pretty daily
Mhm.
outfit.
Yeah.
I've worn this endless times,
Got
right? But yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not a big splurger.
Gotcha.
Right? I wouldn't. One thing I do splurge on sometimes is like a really nice meal.
Me too.
Okay. $10 million actually. All right, listen. A chef.
Oh,
Personal
yes.
chef, and I would use it to leverage giving myself more time back in the day so that way I can do more work. Right? So now I don't have to go cook my own food, and also I'm eating very healthy, clean foods that are like done right and taste really good and all that stuff, right? So I'm getting healthy, and I get my time back from spending time in the kitchen or having to go out to eat and eating junk and stuff like that, right? And then another thing would be chauffeur. And also, you know, to give me my time back.
I was going to say, just the other day, I was in the car and I was like, oh, this is why I was like trying to send an email. And I was like, this is why I need to be driven because so I can just send this blasted thing out.
Yes, Tiffany, exactly. You know, let me sit in the back of the car, take the phone call, send the email, go through my computer, go through my notes, all that stuff as I'm driving to as I'm getting driven to the meeting. Right? That way I could be fully prepared. I could be, you know. So those would be like the two big luxury expenses that I'd probably do, but I do it to leverage my time and leverage my business to just ideally make more money.
Love it. Last question. This has been such a pleasure and so fun and insightful. What is your ultimate life motto?
Keep it trucking.
Keep it trucking, yeah.
You know, life's gonna life. Doors are gonna close. People are gonna leave. Relationships are gonna end. You know, stuff's gonna happen, and not good stuff, right? Bad stuff's gonna happen. But like, you only fail if you give up. You know, as long as you just keep it trucking, you see it for what it is. You make the conscious decision to move past it and to keep it trucking, keep going, right? Like that. At the end of the day, that's it, right? Like if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I would be doing, right? If I decided to quit and give up on this thing and stuff like that, I genuinely have no idea what I would do with my life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, maybe I'd figure it out, but like on tough days versus on good days, I'm doing what I love every day, right? Like, and to me, like as we were saying, to me, that's success.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't, you know, nothing else really matters to me, right? As long as I'm doing what I get to be doing and continuously to love what I'm doing, right? Like, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And that is it. Thank you so much, Miller. This was
Tiffany.
freaking great, and I can't wait for the world to hear this.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Great.
And that's how you do it.
Woohoo!